when she got outside. Like I would meet in the public service, and she's a real sweetheart. But in here,
This was a show.
oh,
All right.
he came in with a pitchfork.
Let's call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission. Today is Thursday, May 11th, 2023. The time is 5:31 p.m. This meeting will be continued until all items are complete. Mayor, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll follow that by a moment of silence to honor our veterans, members of the armed forces, and first responders.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, while everybody's getting settled, if you can take a moment, look at your phone, make sure it's on silent, vibrate, or turned off, please. And Mayor, we have some awards.
Buzz, would you like to come forward? You don't recognize everyone by face or anyone else? Yeah. Okay. All right. Here, if you want to stand here, I'll read on the podium to you.
Okay, sounds good.
This is a proclamation of the City Commission of Flagler Beach recognizing William Buzz Sawyer, Fishing Pier Bait Shop Manager. Whereas Buzz has served and has been a goodwill ambassador for the city for 10 years, 9 months. And whereas he has served as the manager for the city's Pier Bait Shop. And whereas during his tenure, he has instituted innovative ideas such as redesigning and reconstructing the interior of the bait shop, building a recirculating area to sell live shrimp, and managing ticket sales for tourists visiting the pier. And whereas Buzz is an encyclopedia of knowledge about the pier and has dedicated his job to sharing his knowledge with the thousands of people who have visited the pier. And whereas his dedication to the city has further been demonstrated by his proactive actions to sell inventory from the bait shop before it closes on June 1st. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the City of Flagler Beach on behalf of the entire Flagler Beach City Commission, as well as the citizens of our community, please accept our sincerest thank you for service and dedication to the City of Flagler Beach. Thank you. I'm going to read one more, and then if you would like to share any thoughts, please feel free. Whereas, and Buzz will be accepting this proclamation on behalf of the other bait shop employees, so I will go ahead and read it. A proclamation of the City Commission of Flagler Beach recognizing the City of Flagler Beach Fishing Pier Bait Shop staff. Whereas the City of Flagler Beach recognizes the service and dedication of our part-time employees who have worked in the city's pier bait shop. And whereas Ken Williams has served for 31 and a half years. And whereas Nat Ventura has served for 5 years, 6 months. And whereas Richard, we're just going to say Richard A, has served for 4.5 years. And whereas Larry Quick has served for 2 years, 7 months. And whereas Terry Porterfield has served for 2 years, 5 months. And whereas our part-time staff have provided fishing supplies, assistance, and information to the thousands of visitors who have visited the city's pier over the years. And whereas these employees have been vital to the operation of the City of Flagler Beach Fishing Pier and Bait Shop. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the City of Flagler Beach on behalf of the entire Flagler Beach City Commission, as well as the citizens of our community, please accept our sincerest thank you for your service and dedication to the City of Flagler Beach. Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
Just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve Flagler Beach, and I wish the best of luck with the new pier. I think it'll be a very good success, and I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for being my friend.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So next we got deletions and changes to the agenda. And I have one, is there any, Commissioner Millie?
Probably have the same one.
Commissioner Millie?
Just to move number 9 to general business.
That's what I had.
Move 9 to general.
I think we have consensus.
That's no business.
All right. Everybody caught that one. All right, so, well, we'll look at that as a motion and a second. And is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will move 9 out of consent agenda into general business. All right, and city manager, anybody else have anything that we need to move around? Okay. All right, and commissioners, we can either do our CRA meeting now or we can wait till after public comment. So we gotta wait till the actual time?
Yes, it's 5:45.
Got it. All right, so we will wait on that. All right, we will move to public comments. Public comments are items that are not on the agenda. Citizens are encouraged to speak. However, comments should be limited to 3 minutes, and please address them to me. And anyone for public comment, come on up. If you can, please state your name and address.
Donna Snyder, 2412 South Daytona. I sent all of you an email earlier this week regarding a storm drain at the intersection of 24th and South Flagler, concerned that that wasn't in the project that was being done now. So I did get a response from Jane and Rick, thank you very much. Sue reached out to Lee, and we got some additional information. So I want to share that with you. So it turns out the storm drain was not on the plan, so it is not included in the current project. They went down, Lee sent somebody down to go ahead and check that and see what size it was, determined it's a 12-inch valve needed there, and he has assured us that one of the valves coming in will be used at that location as a priority. I also found out that the as-built are incorrect, and a lot of the valves we've already ordered are the incorrect size. I know you, at one point, I think February or March, said you wanted to get a proposal for the additional valves that are needed. So we may be able to use them for that, but this is a pretty big mistake that nobody verified what sizes we needed to order before we did that. Also, while one of the valves was being installed, my husband and I went to see what the existing conditions were. And this is just an FYI. The clapper that's installed there is on the wrong side of the box. It's on the supply side when it should be on the discharge. So basically what that means is it's just a wide open pipe from the intercoastal to come up any storm drain that's got a discharge, if they're all installed that way. So that was a bad mistake in the original installation. The new guy said he would be putting the valve on the correct side. So that part is hopefully solved. I think probably we need to learn a lesson here. One thing is, have we verified, these are my questions, have we verified the sizes that are in this project now? The ones we do not have we ordered them? Because we don't want to delay this project any longer than we need to. And our lesson learned here is we should be verifying anything before we order any remaining valves. I think we might want to look at whoever did those original management of those projects and maybe not use them again because they didn't serve us well on that one. So I also want to offer my services. Sounds like we got a whole bunch of drawings all over the place. They don't have all the information, and that's how we got in the situation where this wasn't included. So I have the capabilities to do AutoCAD. or to do it manually, take all of your drawings, put them on a composite drawing so the city knows what they have. I just want to offer that service to you guys.
All right, thank you, Donna. Anyone else for public comment? Come on up. Please state your name and address.
Erica Rivera, 209 South 15th Street, Apartment 1. So real quick, my name is Erica Rivera. I've been a resident of Flagler Beach for a little over 15 years, and diversity, equity, inclusion is really important to me. And really, I'm just here to let everyone know that I was recently voted in as president of our local Pride organization in Flagler County, and we're holding a Pride Festival on June 10th at Town Center in Palm Coast. But we will be having a vigil here at Veterans Park in Flagler Beach for the Pulse victims. We honor them every year, and I know that you guys have been included in that every year, and I just wanted to thank you guys for that inclusion, and that concludes my comment.
What date did you say?
So June 10th is the Pride Festival at Town Center in Palm Coast, and then June 11th, the very next day, is when we're having the Pulse Vigil here at Veterans Park, and that's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We usually choose that evening time frame to light candles in honor of those victims. So
Thank you.
thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Erica. Anyone else for public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. City manager. So we have a lot of questions that have been brought up, and we'll just go down these in order just to get clarification for us as well. So valves coming in that are the wrong size. Do you have comments or thoughts on this?
We are checking those. Ms. Snyder is absolutely correct. There was mistakes in what we thought was the valve sizes and the valves that were ordered. We're checking the valves that are ordered to see if those are compatible with, in fact, the valve locations that we have identified. That's being done today. I don't know what the results of that evaluation are, so that we can make whatever modifications we have to make in the valves that have been ordered. So that's underway. She's correct in that.
And the next item that was brought up was there's now a valve that is getting moved to a new location. My concern with that is that means that on the contract, there's another location that's going to be left off, and we have contract changes, and if we're going to just move a valve, what happens to the location we identified as a priority, and what about the contract?
We would have, there's a number of different locations where valves could potentially be located. So that's not the only valve that probably is going to have to be ordered as we go through this process. So what we're doing right now is trying to match, get firm identification of the pipe sizes. And part of the problem is these pipes are submerged. And so there's been some miscalculation on what the pipe sizes were. But if it's missing, we will end up trying to order additional valves so that we can cover what the valves we had said we were going to do. That's part of what we're doing today with the shipment coming in.
Okay. And the next item that was brought up.
Oh, can I just add?
Absolutely.
I know that Lee said that this valve would be moved to this other project if it was the right size.
That's correct.
Okay, so nobody is saying that here. Okay, it's sounding like we're definitely doing it, and we're not definitely doing it because we don't know if it's the right size yet.
We've determined the size is 12-inch, and we determined there is a 12-inch valve on here.
Yeah, that would,
Okay.
Well, and
just want to make sure that was in there.
right. And did that answer your question?
There wasn't a question, it was a statement.
I got one too, when you get break.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's cover the public's concerns, and then we'll just, because this one's probably going to have a lot of comments on it. So the next concern was a valve being installed on the wrong pipe. What is your take on that?
I really don't have a take.
It's not on the wrong pipe.
It's on the,
Backwards.
It,
It's on the supply side instead of the discharge.
and as she mentioned, it was corrected. So if,
Yes,
let's
the
say
new
it's
install at
corrected.
that location is correct.
So
It was initially done, when the project was initially done in 2007 or whenever it was put in the wrong position at that point in time, not
okay,
anything
so the
new.
new valves are not being installed wrong?
Correct.
The old valve was installed
it was an
wrong?
old valve,
The
yeah.
original was
Okay.
in there wrong.
Got it. All right, that makes a little bit more sense. So you already answered, have we verified the size question on that? Have we verified the size
Of which one?
of the ones that are coming in, I would guess?
That's, we were doing that today. I have not gotten the results of that. So that's what we were ensuring with the shipper, what size valves they had to conform those back to the dimensions of which we had identified to ensure the right ones. I do not have the answer to that.
Okay, and that also answers the next question is, have we ordered? But we haven't done that because we don't have the size locked in yet.
That's correct. We've ordered, as you know, we had 9 on the way. We still have those ordered. The question is, are those the right size for the valves that we need? And that's what we're trying to confirm. So if we have to swap any out, we can do that.
Okay, and I had a couple comments and commissioners. I know y'all got Commissioner Bell here.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to that particular storm drain that Donna spoke of. I stopped by to see Lee Richards before our last meeting, or before he did his stormwater presentation. And I was speaking to him of that particular storm drain. And then he got out the plan, or the as-built drawing that he had, and it wasn't even on it. So when that project was originally done, it wasn't even marked onto the drawing that it was there. So that's how it got missed in this thing, because it's not on the drawings. And speaking of drawings, we used to have a large binder with all these full-size prints of every project that was done in this stormwater master plan.
I gave my copy of it to Lee, so he should
Was it
have
this
it.
big?
Yeah, it had it all folded up in the binder.
Well, it
The
disappeared somehow.
2009,
He lost it.
Oh.
So
that's nice.
I just don't know whether that's something we can put back together again, so we have a better idea when we go to these other spots, what it was supposedly, what it was in its original state. So
Penny.
they're out there somewhere.
Oh, Penny.
2009, the one I had, it was the original Hartman drawings, the original that I
Is your mic on?
Wasn't it the 2009 I showed you from my office?
That was the stormwater master plan update. That's when they had all but the last 4 done.
Yeah, that was the 2009.
Right, but then that binder was updated to include those 4, so the whole city was in that one binder. And it'd be helpful
We have
moving forward to have that.
When the engineering department moved over to Wickline, a lot of the documents weren't taken with them, and they are boxed in one of the closets here in the back of the room. So
Cool.
I've got several boxes of information.
Okay, that's, but anyway, that particular drain happens to be one of 2 or 3 of the really important ones that the water comes gurgling out of first. So that's why that one's of such high priority, that's getting changed to do that one. So I just wanted to explain that.
Okay, other thoughts, commissioners, questions? Commissioner Sherman?
You go ahead, Eric. Okay. So I guess my first question is, we've talked about July 1st. Are we still on target for July 1st to see this through, or are we not tracking on that goal? I believe we kind of touched, I know that was like a touch date we had last meeting.
What An answer to that would have to be based upon what we determined today as far as the any valves that were incorrect. Until I can get an answer to that, I really can't provide you with an accurate response to your question. I can provide that as soon as we know if the valves we have on order are going to be the right size, or if we have to order other valves in order to meet compatible with the pipes we have. So I hate to be ambiguous, but sure, until I know what the results of that are, I just can't give you an accurate answer.
Got it. And then my last question would be, is there any liability for the improper installation of the pipes? I mean, we're discovering this now, and if we would have had those installed properly, maybe we wouldn't have
2007?
I mean, it's okay.
And then my comment is, first, I wanted to say thank you, Donna, for volunteering your services. That's nice of you to do for the city. And Mike, if you can reach out to Lee and see if that's something that would be needed. CAD is a specific rare skill set, and it doesn't come along every day. So it might be nice to have someone that's passionate about a project in our city help us out.
It very well may be. As a matter of fact, you're right. I think we only have one person, i.e. Lee, that is an AutoCAD operator. So it very well may be.
Lee having a teammate might work out great.
We may have a volunteer.
It sounds like Donna's not going to let anything slip through the cracks.
Doesn't happen often.
So thank you.
So my comments are, I guess, are more concerns. So the first question is the company in charge of getting these measurements since it's their product, or is it us, or how does that process work?
The answer, I'm concerned with giving you an answer because it's more speculation on my part at this point. But typically, that's what your engineering firm does. But I don't know how the process worked at the time of which those dimensions were calculated. So an answer that I gave you would be what I think, not what I know. And typically what would happen is the engineering firm that you have under contract would be the one to give you the dimensions. But I don't know how that project was worked, was administered. So I could only provide that to you accurately at a later date.
Okay, so we can get that info, say,
Yes.
for next meeting or something like that.
Yes.
And then I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. You said that the drawings didn't have any measurements in them, so we got measurements from someone at some point in order to even know.
They probably had measurements.
No, I didn't. I hope I didn't say that, because
They
that's
totally skipped one particular location where there was a storm drain. So it wasn't on the drawing.
yeah.
And then you said that there's going to be more valves ordered. Did I hear that correctly?
No, I said that you would need to order more valves because of the locations. If we expand the project, you're going to have to order more valves. Right now, we've only ordered for a certain amount. For the one valve that is missing, in order to replace that and get another one, we're going to have at least one more valve in order to finish the project as it was. If we decide to expand the project, then we're going to have to order additional valves. But the thought is, let's complete this project to see how it's working before you expand and do additional ones. To use this as a means of making adjustments in whatever we're doing and evaluating how effective it is.
So are you ordering the extra valve, we'll call it? Is that going to happen, or is one dropping off of the existing project?
At this point, what my understanding is, we will try to attempt to order at least the one valve in order to make the complete for the one valve that is missing, but not to expand the project. To complete this project as it is with the valve that's been identified that was not on plans, and then to evaluate how effective it is before we expand to any other additional areas. Because the expense, let's find out if this works and it's effective before it's invest additional dollars in a project before we know that it works.
So one valve's being added, and then we're going to pause. Is that your recommendation
Yes.
before we move on to
I
another
wouldn't use
phase?
the word pause, to complete and evaluate.
And did we get was it the June or July 1st date answer?
The city manager told us that we would have a kind of you were speculative based on the measurements and such, right? That we were trying to figure out at this point in time. It wasn't.
Remember, we have got to make a decision whether the valves we have on order are going to fit the pipes,
Right.
of which we currently have in the plans, because, there's different sizes being identified. So those have got to be in any adjustments made at that particular point. So that's why I do not feel comfortable telling you that July 1st date is good until we can sort out exactly what's happening with the valves that we currently have on order and the size of pipes, if we have to make adjustments in those.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a comment.
Mayor.
How long is the time frame to work out if the valves are right or correct to be used? Because my question would be, instead of waiting for the next meeting, is that something that you can let us know and then also let Donna and Sue know? Because I know they are eager.
Yeah, we would not stop the process waiting for another meeting. I mean, I don't think we have to wait at this particular point. We have to make adjustments. If there has to be anything done, we'd have to make adjustments in the pipes that have been ordered, or the valves, I'm sorry, the valves that have been ordered, and make sure they're the right size, and if they're not the right size, to have them swapped out by valves that are the right size, and whatever transportation time frame is involved in doing that. So nothing is going to stop at this point. Waiting on them. The meetings don't really matter. We will communicate to her based upon what the end result of that happens to be, but there's no delay that's being caused by waiting for meetings.
The delay is by getting the right parts at the right time.
Correct.
And I definitely echo the citizens' frustration with this project. This, on the surface, seems like a relatively simple thing to do that is becoming quite an issue. So that's why I was asking all those questions. I'm trying to wrap my head around where the gaps are. Commissioners? All right, so I believe that answered all the questions from public comment. So we can close public comment up. And y'all want to move to CRA? All right, so do we need to adjourn this, Drew, or no?
Adjourn this commission and reconvene as CRA.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and we will start our CRA meeting. So we'll call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission, sitting as a community redevelopment agency. Today is Thursday, May 11, 2023. The time is 5:59 p.m. This meeting will continue until all items are complete. And we have approval of change order number 3 for the downtown decorative lights. CRA manager.
Thank you. As you are aware, the contractor discovered that some of the fixtures that were installed were holding water. So they stopped putting any of the fixtures up, sent one back to the factory in Ohio. They determined that the actual fixture casings, not the electronics inside, but the casings, had to be completely redone. So we sent back the portion that were already still in boxes so that we could expedite things. And I know that you all were concerned that these weren't going to be brand new lights. They are brand new lights, and we got that in writing. And I forwarded it to the city manager. So they are completely redoing brand new casings and sending them back. Once they get them, there's a 5-day turnaround. The contractor has taken down the ones he did install, He's put them in boxes and sending them back to them. And after they receive them, there's another 5-day turnaround before we get them back. So the contractor has asked for change order number 3 to extend the contract until July 1st. He feels that it'll be done a lot sooner than that because of the turnaround, because King Luminaire is just on it right now. But just as a safeguard, if God forbid something else goes wrong, he's asking for July 1st, and I'm recommending that we do that.
All right, commissioners. Commissioner Bellimer?
There's poles out there with lights still on them. They took some of them down, but they left some of them up.
I don't know where they're at with taking them all down right now, but they're
You
supposed
said
to.
they've taken them all down,
Yeah.
but they haven't. But I'm okay with July 1st. Isn't that big a deal. Can't turn them on anyway.
Right.
Commissioner Stern, did you have something?
No, I just didn't make
Okay. All right. I'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one, will close public comment. Look for a motion.
Motion to approve change order number 3 for the replacement of the downtown decorative lights project.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Item 3, approval of small redevelopment grant application for 212 South Ocean Shore Boulevard. CRA Director.
Thank you. Atlantic Ocean Realty is wanting to replace their sign. They did get 2 quotes, and they are wanting to go, instead of going with the lower quote, they want to go with the one from Palmco Signs because it fits what they're looking for best. If you notice that the quote also says that the permit is not included, the owner has actually gone to the building department and asked how much the permit would be. It's $137, and has requested to amend the application to include that permit, if you so see so. So basically, the application, instead of $600 or $595, would have an additional $137 to it.
And that fits our plan.
Yes.
We pay for permits.
So grants
We
include
can.
permitting?
We can.
Typically, they would be included in the contract price.
Right, usually it
That's
is
what
in the
makes this
quote.
one unique. That's why Karen pointed that out. And usually the contractor would pay for the permit and work it in. Rick can tell you, work it into their price to you. So you're usually paying for them through the contractor.
And this is a 100% grant?
Yes, sir, it's under $1,000.
All right.
But you said the application has been amended?
The original application was for $595. They wrote $600, but it's $595, which is the quote.
And we don't have the new application then, right?
Yeah, you should, in the packet. The application's on the front.
Right, the new one.
No, this just came to me. I'm bringing it to you now. If you choose to accept the $137 in addition to it, that's your prerogative.
Commissioners, thoughts?
Well, it'll be documented, but by our public meetings, so I don't guess it needs a new application, right? So
it's going to be the 600 plus the 137 permit, giving a total of 737.
It's actually $595 plus $137.
Okay, so 732.
See, that's what I got.
the true definition of a small grant,
Correct.
so I
I'm
don't
fine
have a
with it.
problem with it.
My thoughts are I'm okay with approving what's in front of us. That's my thoughts. If this was something that needed modified and brought back to us, then it needs modified and brought back to us. I personally am not okay with approving something that is just off verbal and there's no new application, there's no documentation or anything. That's where I'm at. But I'm one person. But I'm okay, I'm comfortable with what's in front of us.
But this application's already been approved, right?
No,
Oh,
It's here
not
for you
even
to
not
approve.
even the original's been approved.
We haven't seen this one yet.
Oh, okay. Then I had a misconception. I thought we had already signed off on the original.
no, sir, this is a brand-new
This
application.
is the approval.
Yeah, so then I'm on board with you, Eric. Should be all documented.
Or if a revision needs done, it can get revised and come back or something, but, just, to me personally, procedurally wise, I'm not comfortable with off the cuff, but, that's up to the
The
rest of the
applicant
board.
is here if you want to talk to him. He just motioned to me.
Oh, yeah, let's hear from the candidate. Candidate, if you can come up, please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Ariel Oren, and I'm the broker with Atlantic Ocean Realty. Now, this permit, the problem was that the guys, the sign company, did not know for sure that they'll need a permit to start with because they thought it's going to be a reface, and so you can do it without a permit. But in fact, I insisted on having a permit because I just, we're working with the city, it's a small place, and I just don't want any kind of question marks or everything. I'd rather do it, go over the top than do the bare minimum and make a mistake. So I said, no, I want to do the permit. So that's why I did not have at the time that I put the application in, I did not have the price. So, but anyway, if you're not okay with doing the permit, that's fine with me, but let's go with just the sign itself. I'll pay for the permit out of my own pocket. That's okay with me. I have no problem with it. But we do want to proceed. We don't want any delays anymore because we just, that sign really needs replacement. So, okay.
Okay, questions for the applicant?
Yeah,
Commissioner Spradley?
my thought would be, first of all, Drew, is there any bar against making an oral amendment to a pending application?
No, there's nothing that stops you from doing that.
Yeah, so while you would be willing to pay for it, you wouldn't have a problem with including it in the grant instead, would you? I'd take that as a yes. So, I would make a motion to approve it, subject with an oral modification to add for the permit fee.
Well, we do it with ordinances all the time. We do an amendment and approve it as amended, so.
Yeah.
I was going to make the same suggestion, actually, so.
Is there any other questions for the applicant?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Was that a motion?
Well, first we should have public comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the odd person out. This application was filed in, is that April I'm seeing?
April 5th.
And then this quote was done April 3rd, says right on there, the permit was not included. I just have an issue procedurally with these things. It's not like we didn't know this was coming. It's all right there in the paperwork. And, we can approve it though. Commissioner Spradley?
My thought would be that as a general practical matter, I agree with you 100%. But in this case, we have the explanation. We have the applicant here. We're talking about less than $200. He has a time constraint. Drew's confirmed that it can be orally modified. And it just makes sense that as a practical matter, for the best use of all of our times, that would be the way to go. Notwithstanding your concerns about it.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, we'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing no one, close public comment, and I'll look for a motion.
You want to repeat your motion?
Yeah, a motion to approve the grant. Does it have a number?
It's for 212.
The grant for 212 South Ocean Shore Boulevard with an oral amendment to include within it the permitting fee in the amount that was discussed.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That'd be me. All right, and motion passes 4-1. And any other comments on CRA before we adjourn? All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Did you have something?
Yes, please, Mr. Chair, if I may, for a minute. I'm trying to update you on a couple of things, but mainly the fact that the CRA is hopping. Right now, we've got several applications for new development, redevelopment that are in the pipeline, and unfortunately, when I start telling them that they have to wait till June or they might have to wait till September for our regular quarterly meetings, they're not happy because time is of the essence for them. I do have one right now, which is in addition to a shed. It's not a shed. It's a storage area next to St. Vincent de Paul. Anything that is added into a CRA property such as that, you guys have to approve. They've also they wanted to apply for the grant. The problem is they've already paid for this and it's being constructed. They did not know that you guys had to approve it ahead of time. So I'm going to have to ask you for one more special meeting at the next meeting in order for you all to address this, unless there's some other way or something else you want me to do. But that is the issue, and I'm open for suggestions, whatever you all want me to do. But right now, it's hopping.
Commissioners?
I'm good with discussing it at the next meeting, have one of these special in the middle of
During the commission meetings?
regular meetings.
Well, my concern is in the application, it says you could not pay for the item before.
No,
It's
it
been
doesn't
approved.
say you can't pay for it. What it says is you can't do it before it's approved.
Okay.
So if it's not approved, they paid for something that it's not approved. So they're going to lose the money. I mean, Mr. Attorney, am I wrong with that?
No, I think what came in the last one. The reason that says that in the application is so that they understand that
Okay.
they can't come to you and say, but I've already paid for it, you have to give it to me.
Got it.
So if they've already, I don't understand. If the rules are you can't do it, what are we having a special meeting for?
There's two things, Kirby, I don't know anything about this one, but there's two things that are going on. You're talking, there's a grant application, but there's also other work, non-grant work that they're doing.
No, it's the same thing.
Oh.
It's the same thing. And the work that they're doing, they've already paid for this, and they didn't
But the work
know.
hasn't been done yet.
It hasn't been done. They've paid for the actual unit, but it hasn't been placed on the property
Okay.
yet.
And the unit is part of the grant?
They also applied for a grant to help
For
pay
the
for
unit?
it. Yes.
Why
But
aren't-
what they didn't
So they've entered a
understand,
contract for the work, they haven't had the work done.
they're supposedly building it now, is what I was told. They were not aware that the CRA
Building it off-site, not building it on-site.
off-site, correct?
I think maybe that was the confusion. There's no on-site work occurring right now.
No, none.
Paula?
So this is compliant
Yes.
with the rules?
Yes. They did not realize, however, that you as a CRA board had to approve the addition to their property to begin with, not the grant. It's the addition to the property.
Why are they not on this special meeting?
'Cause I
Instead of
don't-
we're not having another special meeting to then have another one. My thought is we're getting to the point we're having a CRA meeting and a commission meeting every single time. It would have been nice to have condensed it and had it onto this one. So my thought is I'd like to wait until the next CRA meeting.
They
In
can't
this-
wait till
Right,
June.
in this case, I don't know if they can. I mean, we did, yeah, this is time management 101, but there are exceptions that are outside of that. But for folks that are looking for grants, I mean, it's right there on the cover page of the thing. This is a quarterly initiative.
And I have put those aside, yes, sir.
So this particular one, I mean, we did carve out time in commission meetings for that, for exceptions, which there seems to be a lot of here lately.
I told you, CRA is hopping. Just to give you an insight, I know that this hasn't happened in a long time, but in the past, Commissioner Mealy can attest to it. We had a CRA board meeting separate from the commission meeting every month.
Mm-hmm. We're twice a month, if not more, just to point out. But if it needs to be done, then it can be done, but let's just be conscious that.
And I'd rather see us have 10-minute discussion about something than seeing nothing going on in the CRA like we did for 12 years. So, that's it. So we're good with.
All right, so you're looking for consensus, right?
Do we need consensus? Y'all
Yeah.
okay with it? Yeah. Okay, we have consensus. Next commission meeting, we'll plug that in.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And if there's any other time pressing issues, let's try to get it all bundled together. And
I usually try to do that, but this one came up after the agenda was already posted, so I was like, no, you're going to have to wait.
When the application or this item is heard, it will still be in compliance with the rules?
Correct, because they have not actually put it on site.
Okay. All right. What else you got for CRA?
That's it.
All right. Any other comments? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion and second. We're adjourned, and we will resume the regular meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we are now at consent agenda, which is approved regular meeting minutes, April 27, 2023, a one-year insurance renewal proposal for the pier structure, and bid FB-23-0305 for the clubhouse interior rebuild.
I got questions on 8, so
Yeah,
I'd like to
it's
pull
other
8.
Okay, so I hear we're pulling 8. And what about 6 or 7? Everybody's okay with that? Discussion on 6 or 7?
No. Liz explained 7 to us when she was here last time, so
Okay.
good.
We will open this up, public comment for consent agenda items 6 or 7. See, no one close. We will not close. We will close public comment. No,
Motion
from
to
us.
approve the consent agenda, items 6 and 7.
All right, a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Item 8, who was first to pull that?
Rick called it first.
Okay, Commissioner Bellinger?
There's no cover sheet on this, so there's really no explanation of what's going on here. Is this something that'll be totally paid for with insurance?
Between insurance and FEMA, a majority of the fees should be paid. FEMA has been here this week, and they are reviewing the dune walkover project and the clubhouse, all the claims we've made to ensure that we are replacing what was there and not adding additional things. Or if there are additions, it's for mitigation issues to improve it to be stronger for the next storm.
Okay, well, I had asked a question because there wasn't any intro into this explaining
I'm sorry, I
how that was going. Well, you were gone for a week, so you're forgiven this.
I have the.
But we only had one bid.
Yes, sir, one bid. We held a pre-bid meeting, and the contractor that bid did show up to that, so he visually was on site to see everything and make his proposal.
So basically, it's going to look the same as it did before?
Just a little
But stronger.
fresher. Yes.
Stronger?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all your questions, Rick?
Well, just so, I just was hoping that the insurance would cover it. Between insurance and FEMA.
Between both of them, like I said, I mean, I don't have
You don't know
insurance
yet, for
numbers. I
certain.
don't have exact FEMA numbers, so I can't answer that 100%, but that's the goal.
And we don't have any other bids to weigh the price against. So,
No.
all right, well, it's not crazy money, but that's my question. Thank you.
Any other comments? I have a comment. I don't know what I'm approving. I can't find anything in here that says what work's being done. That's my only issue. I have a ton of insurance and drug-free workplace documents, but I have nothing outlining what we're even approving, unless I am missing it altogether.
No, that was my
No,
question
just what's
too,
written
but I
on the
think
agenda.
Penny just told us.
Well, we're repairing stuff is kind of what I'm getting out of it.
Just because I've been there and understand what still needs to get done, it's putting the sheetrock back in place and putting the walls back together, things that got wet because the roof had leaked and there was a lot of water inside. So it's a typical flood property, although it wasn't flood water, it was rainwater that saturated a bunch of drywall in there and carpet and things of that sort. Anything that was, 4 inches deep. So that's the only way I know what's going on down there. But you're right, there's just nothing in here to explain.
Again, I apologize, I wasn't here to put the agenda packet together.
I can read this.
And this is the addendum that was put out that amended the scope. So I will need those back.
Okay, so I'll pass this and then I'll read this one here so everybody can see. So what this is, just for the record, is remove and replace impact storefront glass door, including hardware and deadbolt, removal and replacing of restroom doors, installation of a hand wash kitchen sink with faucet, installation of a sliding barn door, 6-foot track in ladies' bathroom, level the concrete floor, do drywall and baseboards, commercial carpet, wall tile in restrooms and kitchen area, chair rail around the seating area, 2 ADA compliant bathroom sinks, permitting, electrical, plumbing, that's tied with this. And I'll pass this down. So this way it's clear and, for the public what's actually being done. That's a good amount of work.
It is, and I was down there at the site for the pre-bid, and it is quite a bit of work. And the chair rail was an addition, and that was because they're not going to repaint the entire interior. So in case they can't match the paint up with the existing, because the drywall, it's like a flood out. So the drywall's cut off about 2.5, 3 feet up, about 3 feet up off the ground. So
There are a couple of things here that weren't necessarily flood related too, such as leveling the floor and the sinks, I guess, are just bringing it up to date, ADA compliant.
correct.
So those sort of little things may put it over what the insurance would pay for anyway.
I can't speak to the insurance,
Yeah,
and that's
understood.
not my
But
area.
like I
of
said, it's not
expertise.
crazy
And when we were
money.
down there for the pre-bid, Ms. Novak was with us, and she's the one who noticed the floor, the uneven floor.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if they just had extra padding on the carpet down before.
No, it's always been very uneven.
Yeah, so that was noted to repair that.
Well, hold on, you're saying that this could go over, but we're approving 53,508.
You're approving the bid amount, 53,508.
So, Rick, what were you talking about? This could go over.
No, I'm saying the insurance company ain't going to pay to level the floor. I'll tell you that now. They're not going to pay for sinks that weren't there to start with. because we want to make it ADA compliant. So there may be
No.
a couple of things that have run the cost up,
The sinks were there
right?
when because it's a commercial facility. If we're going in repairing it, we have to bring it up to code while we're doing it. So that's the change in the sinks to the ADA sinks.
Okay.
But this contract's not going to go over that amount. It's all itemized down in the contract, correct, Penny?
I'm sorry.
The 5358 is outlined in the contract.
Commissioner Bellhumer's
Yes.
comment was not so much, wasn't the contract price that Commissioner Bellhumer was talking about.
He's talking
It was
about the
what
insurance reimbursement.
Yeah,
this
there might
won't-
be pushback from insurance.
Right, this probably won't be a wash, is what you're saying, with the insurance?
Penny
don't know what the
explained about the sinks, but I wouldn't think that the insurance would pay to level the floor. Liz is going to tell us.
I don't have the exact amount. We did already receive an insurance payment, money for the clubhouse. I don't have the exact figures with me, but we can also go back and relook. They're willing, if the amount exceeded what we've already received, they were willing to go back and look at it. I don't have the exact numbers with me right now. I can get them for you, though.
I say let's just get it done.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we will open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on item 8 on consent agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And
Motion to approve the contract with Paul Culver Construction for $53,508 for the clubhouse.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. All right, general business. Item 9, discussion of approach to acquire countywide cooperation for tourism impact on Flagler Beach. City manager.
Commission, at a prior meeting, you had discussed the concept of doing a futuristic strategic planning meeting that would involve the Tourist Development Council and possibly other governmental units. Based upon your discussion, I approached the Flagler County manager as well as Palm Coast and Bunnell managers and presented them with the concept of the city of Flagler Beach writing a letter to the respective entities asking that they appoint a number of people from their governing body, and as we discussed, it was two to three, but preferably two, in order to make it manageable. If they would be willing to recommend to their governing bodies that they would work with us to convene the legislative members to talk about the futuristic problems that confront Flagler County. I said specifically that Flagler Beach wanted to discuss the issue of quality of life as it would related to growth in the county and how that growth could potentially create negative impacts on Flagler Beach and the public services of Flagler Beach to manage those growth-related issues and tourism coming into the beach. I received a positive response by the county manager, as well as the city manager of Palm Coast and Bunnell. So they encouraged me to present this to you and see if you would like to have a letter drafted that would be signed by the mayor and sent to the respective governing bodies that would ask for a meeting to be convened. And then if they all answered in the affirmative, we would then appoint two people from the Flagler Beach City Commission. The county would appoint two people from the County Commission, as well as Palm Coast and Bunnell. We'd also invite Beverly Beach to attend. So that is the the final results of that meeting that based upon what you requested me to pursue. So I would, at this point, if you're continue to be interested, we have a receptive audience on all the governmental institutions in Flagler County. We could write a letter that would be from the commission and would go to those bodies asking that they appoint 2 people for a meeting that would discuss quality of life in Flagler County, and each one of the governing bodies would decide an agenda item that it wanted to have presented, and then as well as the agenda item that you discussed that you would like to have presented.
All right, Commissioners.
Yeah,
Commissioner?
just, Drew, if we announce those meetings and somebody's there to take minutes, we're okay with
It's
sunshine?
publicly noticed and somebody's taking minutes, because that's right. If you have 2 from each board, then it's going to be subject to sunshine.
Yeah, all the way around.
Commissioner Spratt?
Yeah, no, I had,
Okay.
I told Mike yesterday, and,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry. I told Mike yesterday that years ago, when Craig Coffey first started as the county administrator, we would have, maybe they were quarterly, I don't remember how often they were, but it was our whole commission, the whole county commission, the whole city of Compost council. And at first, they were good meetings, and we produced stuff. Then after a while, they became, well, here's all the great stuff we did last month, and, then there was really no purpose to them anymore. But in the beginning, they were good. So I think this is a great idea, because we'll be more focused on why are we there.
Commissioner Spradley?
I agree. I think it's a great idea, probably long overdue, and perhaps having a couple of representatives instead of the full boards would make it more manageable. I, for one, would be interested in participating, but I think what was not spoken directly, but what was suggested is that this is in reply to something we spoke about last time about getting some shared funding for use of the beach.
Right.
And I don't think Mike said those words, but this is a great opportunity for that. And I think in my conversation with Mike Abel, the thought was that this would be not a one-time meeting, but, quarterly or whatever it would be, and to establish that kind of relationship. But I think that would be a great idea. I mean, we all know how much growth has happened, and we suspect what will happen, and we know that everybody who moves here wants to go to the beach at some point. So this is a good opportunity to lay our concerns out before the other bodies, basically our governmental partners.
Even more so than funding, just the bandwidth and carrying capacity. Adding 10, 15,000 people every single year and trying to funnel that through a city of 5,000 with all those folks pretty much moving here with the understanding that probably 90% or better are moving here for the beach. It just becomes a carrying capacity, and we need to be able to get county citizens to the beach. There has to be something, there has to be an alternate to the pinch point of just 100. Trying to funnel all of that through that tiny choke point, regardless of any funding, but funding is definitely part of that. Commissioner Bellinger?
Yeah, I guess, what would you call it, an intergovernmental workshop? Or something like that?
Sounds like a good name to me.
Okay. Or workshops. It sounds like something like Commissioner Spradley said, it might not be just one meeting. So, yeah, actually, I was supposed to meet with Mayor Alphen today, and I was going to hit a couple of topics with him, but he was out sick, so I didn't get that opportunity. But, I mean, yeah, absolutely. While we got their interest and they're willing to participate, and it'll give us a chance to explain better our positions. They'll get a better chance to explain their positions and make each of us individually understand what the other cities or county are going through. So, yeah, I think it should be a very productive way of pursuing what we asked for. So I think it's a super idea. And I myself would love to be a participant as well. That's it.
Mayor, if you want to go before me, I can go.
Mayor?
I think it's a must-do. We are funneling this entire county into Flagler Beach, and we need countywide assistance. I had already spoken with David Alphen at the mayor's, Meet the Mayors at the Board of Realtors, and he was 100% in agreement and was very open to meeting and discussing it.
Mr. Sherman?
Yeah, I was just going to say too, Mike and I had a good conversation about this same topic, and I think we're moving in a direction of showing the county we're willing to help ourselves. We're going to improve our parking lots. I think one of the other suggestions was we're going to get them lit so then people know where the parking and such is, and just showing that, we're willing to help ourselves. Now we need your help to come to the table and help us fund some of these things until maybe strategically things are planned out to, like you said, the different pinch point to beach access and things in the future. But show them that we're willing to help ourselves and do things. Now we're asking for your help, whether that be adding lifeguards to other parts of the county, whatever it might be. But I think those are great conversations, and I know we'll have great representation there from our dais, and looking forward to seeing where this all goes. And I think it's what was it on Fox 35? I don't know if anybody else saw it about the T-shirt shops being all the shoplifting that's going on there. And I think that's also just part of growing pains as a municipality, or not our municipality, but the county, and kind of needing the reinforcements that, we kind of had discussed in, I guess, our pre-budget meetings last week.
It's not just T-shirt shops. There's a cultural shift. There's a dynamic going on with shoplifting, especially with younger folks, with social media, where it's becoming a badge of honor a lot of times on TikTok and stuff, and it's kind of a shame. Any other comments? City Manager? So we would need to have 2 representatives chosen. You want to get that accomplished tonight?
Well, first they have to agree to do it.
We have to get an affirmative response back. I can then hopefully, if it's as early as the next meeting, but I would guess probably the first meeting in June is I'll have responses back from everyone. If you choose to have me write this letter, which the mayor would then sign, and I would think probably the first meeting in June, we should have a response back, and then I would think you'd want to make your appointments at that point, to just based upon how many that is finally recognized by the letters that we receive, how many they want to have. I would suggest that I put in the letter that you sign what your subject is, and if what I mentioned about quality of life based upon tourism, impact on growth based upon growth, impact on tourism in Flagler Beach. If that's an agreed upon subject, I would suggest that I do put that in the letter.
Okay. Consensus on letter?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, we have a consensus, and then
like
is
this
everybody
wording.
okay with choosing folks when the letter comes back?
Yeah.
Okay.
When time comes.
All right, and just since this is an item, we'll open this up public comment, even though we're not taking big action. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we have all our questions answered, right, City Manager?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move on to item 10, applications to appoint citizen representative and alternate citizen representative from Flagler Beach to serve on the River Sea TPO. Penny.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ike has submitted his letter of resignation, and in that letter, he suggested that the current alternate, if he so wished to be moved up to the primary, the alternate declined that request and added that might need to find an alternate as well. We did receive an application from a Janice Palmer, and we also received another application from Candace.
Candy.
Ms. Candace's application indicates Planning and Architectural Review Board, but her description speaks to the
Yeah, and I know
the
Candy.
TPO
I know Candy, and this is the one she wants.
So I wasn't quite sure. Her name's on both tonight, so just.
And I did call her, she never called me back.
Okay.
But I know in previous discussions I had with her, this is the one she's interested in.
And since there were only 2 applicants for the TPO, I did not provide a scoring sheet. I was thinking that maybe you would, if you so choose, appoint one as your primary and one as your alternate.
If we do a primary and alternate, won't we need a scoring sheet, though? Or no? We can just do it by motion?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thoughts on applicants? Do we have a primary or alternate suggestion?
Neither of them is here, so can't use that.
I would propose the one that speaks of more appropriate reason for them making this application.
Which name are you referring
And
to?
that would be Candace.
Okay.
And have Ms. Palmer be the
alternate.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Thoughts or comments? All right, we'll open this up, public comment. Members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Okay, so we have a motion for Candace primary. And how do you say it, Janice? As the alternate. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. All right, so congratulations, applicants.
Wherever you are.
Yeah. All right. Item 11.
I provided to you a revised packet for item 11. You now have 8 applicants, pardon me, for the 3 seats. 2 of the applicants, Mr. Bennett and Mr. Garrett, are not able to attend tonight, and I apologize. I am not sure if the other applicants were reached out to see if they were able to attend or not. So those were the 2 that I spoke with directly. I see one of them's here.
All right, we'll just go down the list in order.
2 of them, I'm
Two are
sorry.
here.
Two of them are here.
3.
2, Cunningham and Smith.
For the seats.
Paul, I see Paul
Paul's here.
and Bob.
Oh, and Paul, sorry, Paul.
That's 3.
Sorry.
And I'm sorry, I don't know the faces of the other names, except Joseph, I know, and I see he's not here.
We can go down in order. So is Tim Bennett here?
No,
Okay.
Mr. Bennett and Mr. Garrett were not able to attend, I know that.
All right. Paul Chestnut, come on up. If you can, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be on the PAR board.
Got a cheater. Paul Chestnut, 1115 North Central. Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor Johnston. First, I'd like to say thank you to you and your former commissioners for electing me for 2 terms, 6 years on the PAR board. It's been an honor to serve my city and that board. Thank you as well to Mr. Torino and my fellow PAR board members. Not every decision is easy or popular, but I have done my best to make rational, logical, and fair decisions. I am here tonight seeking a 3rd term. As you all know, I'm a local business owner for 7 years now and employ almost 140 people. I'm a co-founder of Flagler Strong and vice president of Hurricane Preparedness and Recovery, and hoping that I don't see you guys later on this year.
We don't want to see you either.
We're facing a lot of new challenges and projects here. I love my city, and I know I would give you all I have to help maintain our quality of life and protect our way of life with smart, responsible growth and, again, quality of life moving forward. So thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
All right, questions for Paul? I'm getting off easy.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, and Candace, was that the one that also, yeah, she's not here. And Scott Crone. Okay, and everybody has all their paperwork. Okay. Bob Cunningham. Again, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on Par Board.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Bob Cunningham. I've been a resident of Flagler Beach for roughly about 9 years now. My background is heavy in technology, building, designing, implementing local, metropolitan, wide area networks, machine learning platforms, all over the world. I've also done a lot of work within landscape design and implementations. I want to be able to give back to the city. I look at regulations, I look at rules, and I try to apply all those fairly across the board. That's all.
All right. Questions for Bob? No. You're getting off easy too.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
We're saving all our questions for Lisa.
That's it. All right. Alex Garrett. Not present. Okay. And Joseph Pizzulli, I don't see him. All right, Lisa. Come on up. We have all the questions for you. If you can, tell us a little bit about
I'm ready.
why you want to be on Par Board.
All right. Lisa Smith, 1640 Lambert Avenue. I've been a Flagler County land owner since 1998. I'm starting my 23rd year in residency in Flagler Beach. Raised my children here. My grandchildren are now going to grow up here, which is great. My husband and I both own local businesses here. We've both been in real estate and construction for over 30 years. I also own property in the CRA, Commercial Downtown District. So Flagler Beach is my town. I live here, I work here, I play here. I have not previously volunteered on a commission, Flagler Beach Commission committee, but I have been a Flagler Schools volunteer as a classroom volunteer, as well as for future problem solving, an evaluator for future problem solving. I currently serve as the treasurer for the Flagler County Association of Realtors. This is my third term to do that and my final term. And I also currently serve as the president of the Flagler Housing Partnership, which, if you're not familiar with that, it is a 501c3 that was formed 3 years ago at the beginning of COVID, unfortunately, by the Board of Realtors, but it now stands alone. And we promote fair housing, low-income housing, and we're currently working on a HUD certification to become a housing counselor for Flagler County instead of us sending our funds to St. John's or Volusia. So I just want to give back to my community and hope that I have something to offer.
All right, now all the questions.
No.
Questions for Lisa. All right, we'll be fair.
This time.
All right, so commissioners, everybody has their card. If you all could fill out the numbers on the front and then pass them down to Penny. And applicants appreciate the interest. And there's 8 people for 3 seats, and these seats change often. So if not this time, please stay engaged, because there's always a need for that. And Penny will get those tabulated. We'll cover it here later on in the meeting. All right, so we will move on to item 12, discussion of offered laid down yard lease.
Just pass it down, Scott.
Seeking direction from the commission on this. I think tail end of last year, former Commissioner Bryan was conversing with Howard Sklar over at the Marina property, with all the projects coming. I know Ken's thinking was with the beach project, the pier project, the hotel project, both public and private projects. So there is, and there will be a need for lay down yards. So they had those conversations. Sometime I think either tail end of the year or early this year, started working a little bit with Mr. Sklar's attorney, Jay Livingston, on the draft you have in front of you. There have been a few back and forths. I think the deal is about as good as the deal gets for the city, and there's one, I don't have strong feelings on it one way or the other, but I do have a risk to tell you about in it, and that is, if you look, the rent is $5,000 a month, escalating every year, so $60,000 a year plus per year, but it's a 3-year lease, and it's a hard 3 years, and this is, I'm telling you this part of it because I pushed on it. There is no give, at least at this point, as to can we get termination for convenience, and can we get flexibility on start date, and wants a hard 3 years with a hard start and a hard stop. That means you're paying $5,000 a month whether or not you're using it as a laydown yard, and I think that's a big risk. So, I mean, the concept is a good one. There is going to be a need for a laydown yard, but I'd be hard pressed to tell you it's a good idea to pay for one when you don't know when you're going to be using it.
Commissioner Mealy.
Yes, there will be need for a laydown yard. No, the city should not be paying for it. The residents of the city are going to have their lives messed up quite a bit by all the projects that are going on. They shouldn't have to pay for the laydown yard. I think that the hotel and the contractor for the pier and whoever else may need it should work it out with Mr. Sklar, not us.
Other comments?
My thoughts are very similar to Jane's. I don't know why we would be muddling in with a private business and what they need when it's their construction manager's job to handle that area. We don't, when a homeowner wants to build, we don't get involved, and it should be the same way with a business.
I'm in the same wavelength as the mayor and Commissioner Mealy. I just don't think this is good business for the city. I don't personally have the appetite for more maybe things that could get caught up in court. What we're dealing with now with the golf course, and I mean, you know, this could I just could see this going down a path of some issues, and I think it is the responsibility of the contractor, not the city, to find a place if they need to have a laydown yard. I think this is purely speculation when I was reading through this, and I think also kind of to piggyback on what Commissioner Mealy said, it's just not, I don't think it's a good quality of life for our residents that live in that area that may have to deal with all of that equipment coming and going near their properties, and also I think the wear and tear on our roads over there. I mean, it's just, I just don't think it's strategically a good place to even consider a laydown yard for where the scope of the work's going to be taking place as well.
Mr. Spradley.
I concur with what's been said. I mean, the idea of having a space to put relief, which would result in relief on one of the city's parking dilemmas, sounds good if that were in isolation. But the first thing that comes to mind is premises liability. You know, you're talking about a property that's on the water, you know, for a 3-year term. And to think that there may be 3 years without a personal injury claim would be wildly imaginative. So that alone, I think, would create an issue.
You sound like an attorney.
Drew filled me in. So there are some pluses, but it sounds like the minuses heavily outweigh them. Thank you.
My thoughts are, I don't even know where this came from. We never even had a consensus to even pursue such an initiative.
It was offered by Mr. Sklar.
This was something that was brought to us?
Mm-hmm. It was brought to Ken.
Yeah, it seemed odd it got this far without even, you know, getting any commission's thoughts on any of this. You know, we just came to a consensus to draft a letter, but we have a whole lease agreement that none of us even asked for that I know of, or at least not on public record. Totally against it. It's not going to save us any money. The contractors for the pier have already got that all bidded out. There's not going to be a discount for a lay yard in there, I promise you that. And I don't know why on earth we would get into private matters concerning any other building and have city-style lay yards and putting it on the island in a flood-prone area throughout I mean, there's 100 reasons why that's not a good idea and why it's not even something that we should even be pursuing. And City Manager, did you have any thoughts on this?
Chair and Commission, it would be my recommendation that city government should never become involved in speculating in private affairs with public funds. It's just, our funds are scarce, and we can't risk them to speculation.
Any other comments? This is just a discussion. Well, we'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? If you can, please state your name and address.
Nicholas Kimball, 200 Lambert Avenue, Flagler Beach, Florida. Hey guys, so this was brought to my attention by a couple city commissioners regarding the laydown yard. Forward thinking isn't cheap. When you look at the amount of construction that's going on in certain areas, if you have designated zones for construction to occur, and for pieces of property to sit, you can kind of control the flow, right? So I own, 27,500 square feet off of Central. It was brought to me by several commissioners that I should come to this meeting. I don't show up very often to these. Doesn't create any impedance. It's got three major ways of ingress and egress. Allows you to control the flow of traffic. Speculation based on what I read with that lease is Howard's deal is he wants you guys to basically a commitment for 3 years, hard, fast lease. I'm not as stiff as that. 180 days is perfectly okay with us. I'm also not as cheap as he is. Also, will give you transferable rights. So if you guys had a set date where you wanted to use the real estate, and that was the date to begin, that's the terms when your lease would begin. You would reduce a lot of the traffic. You're going to have a ton of traffic that's going there. You can give a designated zone. That's what you should do. Keep traffic from going over across 100 down to Lantana and down over there. Like you mentioned, it is in an area where there is thing. As far as the liability goes, on the insurance side, additional insured $5 million in coverage would probably cover it. From a speculation standpoint, there is no speculation if the lease doesn't begin until you guys agree on that as a designated zone. I'm a little easier to work with than him, but also, like, at the same time, I realize that there's a benefit to having the place, the space in that area. So if it's something you guys would like to consider, I can have something drafted up and a proposal put in front of your desk in the next 30 days. Any questions? Cool. Ms. Mealy?
My initial comment was that I didn't think the city should be doing this at all.
Right.
And I think I had support from other commissioners. So whether it's Howard or it's you or it's somebody
it's
else.
not about for me, I think for the community, it's not about like whether or not you're co-mingling funds. What you're doing is you're basically controlling where this traffic is going to go.
I wouldn't mind if it was on your property. I wouldn't mind if it was on Howard's property.
Right.
The city residents should not be paying for it, is my point.
Right.
So if you want to negotiate with Minaj, go for it.
That's fine. I think what the proposal that Howard had proposed was like, here's a piece of real estate. You guys are going to need a lay-down yard. Here's what I'm offering. You guys get the transfer rights. So if you dictate that the work needs being done there, his lease was a little harder because he's like, hey, if you say yes, this is when it begins. Mine is, if you want to have leverage, then you have leverage with me. That's what I'm thinking.
Do you have a question for Nick, or just a comment?
No, just a comment. I mean, sure. It does sound like a great idea, but I think it's just the wrong, from my opinion, just the wrong parties. You and the hotel owner. It just doesn't seem that the city would benefit by being the middleman, basically, being a tenant and subtenanting it out. But the idea sounds good. I just think that if you were able to establish a relationship with the hotel owner, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Which is what I just said.
Okay,
Thanks.
Any other questions for Nick? Okay, and thank you, Nick.
Hey, Norris.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, we'll close public comment. So, City Manager, we have another land use option available for potential future use brought forward. So that's good to be aware of.
But that's not direction to do anything?
No. Okay. No, that's just
to be aware of.
Right. All right. So we'll move on to number 13.
So before you move on, I'm looking for direction so that I can go back to Mr. Sklar's attorney, and I've gathered the direction is,
No.
well, I thank you for the offer, but no thank you, and you're more than welcome to work with the private parties that are going to need it lay down yard. I think that's the way to communicate.
Do you have a consensus on that?
Yes.
That was a very nice way to put it.
He's a good guy, and I like working with him.
All right. Number 13, application SP 23-04-01. And we have Larry. Good to see you, Larry.
Always good to be here. This item, I don't see the applicants here.
All kinds of questions that I'm not sure you're going to have all the answers to.
Well, that would be your call, Larry. This is your item.
I believe the applicant should be present.
I agree on this one, because I think there are going to be questions that are going to need a response from the applicant, rather than do some of it without the applicant here and then, table it until the applicant can be here, and they miss out on a whole big part of the conversation. So I think I agree with Larry.
I agree.
And secondly, on the city's behalf, David King was not available. He's out of town. And I know a lot of the questions are going to be technically related, engineering type related questions, stormwater, et cetera. I can answer to a certain point, but I don't want to be held liable for information.
Having attended the PAR board meeting, I would say that it would be necessary for you were there too. It would be necessary.
I'm fine with that.
To be here.
All right. So do we have a consensus to...
Motion to table, please. And we're not doing date certains anymore, so it doesn't really matter, but still motion to table.
All right. So we will need a motion to table.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll open this up public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right. Seeing none.
And everybody
don't
keep
have to-
this stuff so Penny doesn't have to.
Yeah, this is quite a bit. This is quite a bit. All right, so all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Penny, I scribbled on mine. Can I promise I will keep it? Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Larry. Good job.
That was a tough one, Larry.
Have a good night, Larry.
All right, we'll move on to item 14, city attorney.
I can't think of anything that I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Questions for
I
Jane?
do.
I do.
I think I'm supposed to know the answer to this, but Pine Tree Street, the code enforcement, there's a meeting next week, the magistrate,
It's 2 weeks.
or the 24th or something.
Yes, and I saw an email today. I don't know if John, I know John has been out there a couple of times for inspections, and when I talked to him last week, he had some concerns about the conditions out there as to whether or not there was a case for nuisance. And so he was, I think, already met with, what's her name, Sandra
Natubik.
Natubik, Miss Natubik, yes, ma'am. He had spoken, I think it was Miss Natubik he'd spoken with, and he was working on setting up another meeting with her, because I'd asked him, I know she feels very strongly about it, and he wasn't seeing a condition rising to the level that it had been described to us. So I asked him to follow up with her and set up another meeting where she could point to him. So, and I don't think that has occurred yet, based on the fact that we got an email from her today. I'm guessing that meeting has not occurred.
I would guess.
But I know that's what he is working on doing another site visit with him, so that he can see what she's seeing.
Thank you.
Any other questions did you have a question for Drew?
I do. Drew, I wanted to ask you about this Form 1 versus Form 6.
Mm-hmm.
What the differences
So
are.
more
and when's that
detailed,
gonna
it's a
start?
more detailed financial disclosure. Form 1 was very easy. Form 6 is much more detailed, much more
Have fun, Rick, with all your problems.
into your, yes, exactly.
Start now.
Well, when does it go into effect?
January.
Yeah, this coming year.
Okay, so.
So next,
Not the
So
year.
I've already done a Form 1 this year.
right, you've done your disclosure, they've done their disclosures where, we've done disclosure, we've done Form 1 this year, so your disclosure next year will be the Form 6, correct?
Okay. Thank you.
That was it?
Yeah, I spoke to the fire pension board attorney about that yesterday.
if we do a Form 1, because that's his big thing. Every time we have a meeting, he says, make sure you get your Form 1 in. But next year, if we do a Form 6, we won't have to do a Form 1 for the fire pension or the police pension.
Because you will have already, because your Form 6 disclosure will have included everything the Form 1 asked for, correct? Yes.
Any other questions for Drew?
No.
Thank you. City Manager.
At our last meeting, the commission instructed me to bring back to the commission a plan, short-term plan for stormwater improvements. I want to bring the commission up to date on where we're at, and I will be bringing to you that plan at our next meeting, which will be the second meeting in May. But I want to just tell you right now what we're doing so you have somewhat of an idea. What we have done at this stage is the equipment we have in Public Works, which is the equipment that we use in order to vacuum out the storm basins, is really, it's broken down and it's substandard. It's not really adequate for what we need to do a major cleaning project in our storm basins. We have an opportunity to rent a truck. It's a major, large truck for $10,000 a month. And it would be a purchase price of about $350,000 total. 50% of the lease price for the truck would be credited back against any purchase that we wanted to do. Now, there is a caveat in that, but we'll bring the caveat to you at a later point when we know exactly how firm it's going to be. But so we do have the availability of purchasing the truck. We have done a test on the truck, and it works very, very well. Public Works can use it. We can lease it effective the 22nd of this month. So I have, based upon the commission's direction, which you instructed last meeting, to go into reserves if we need reserves to start short-term projects. So I've instructed Public Works to go ahead and lease that truck. It will be in on the 22nd. We'll do an initial 30-day lease, possible 60 to 90-day lease, determined about how long it takes us to clean the storm drains. I will bring back to you at the next meeting the streets that we'll be doing and the parameters of those streets that we will be doing a short-term project on. We're also looking long-term at doing retention basins and doing the cleaning of those retention basins, but that would have to be built into next year's budget. We're looking at this point that there would be 2 storm drainage basins that we'd be bringing into next year's budget. I will also bring those to you next meeting so that you'll see what we're planning at least, and any discussion can be arranged, can be had on what those basins are at your next meeting. So I'll be bringing you the streets, the parameters of the streets, next meeting, as well as the retention basins. We will already, hopefully, training will take place on the 22nd and 23rd. So by the next meeting, the actual work will have started, and I'll be showing you the streets that we'll be doing so that you can have any input that you feel wise on what those streets are. So that your direction has been initiated. I'll take any questions you may have.
Questions or comments?
No. Glad to see we're doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to use it a little bit first and see. My concern with it is having the labor force to utilize it to the degree that it can be used. Because that's a very expensive piece of equipment. It's almost $400,000, right?
Yes.
Approach.
Yeah, it's under 400, 300.
Just for clarity, you said it was 350. It's 380. Is what they quoted last meeting, right?
Okay.
Just for clarity.
Yeah, last week.
So that would be my concern. Vinny says he'll probably use it more than Public Works will. So that's. And then when they have their water breaks and things of that sort, They use the one they have now that's broke down quite often. Of course, they haven't used it lately because it's broken, but so we need something in the meantime. And if 50% of the lease goes towards purchase price, that's a fair deal. So I'd like the idea that we're going to use it first and see if it really will meet our needs. So that's my thoughts. But are you talking any more on stormwater, or we just talk about the truck right now? We'll stick with the truck. I'll get back to it.
Commissioner Spradley.
I want to say, good job on that, Mike. And, that kind of solution is what we need. And, for the residents, including the ladies who were here a while ago, who are always here on these kinds of issues, I think it's great to see actual progress. We talk a lot, but it's great to see that progress. So I appreciate it.
Any other comments? Sure. I think it's great to see too. And we're hearing it and we're acting on it. And kudos to you for, using that opportunity to get some storm drains cleaned out. So overdue.
Put this truck in the parade. People will be very happy to see it.
Yeah, I mean, if we got it under lease, let's see if we can break it. Let's use it. Let's get our money's worth.
It's got wheels. It'll be in the parade.
All right, did you have anything else outside of the truck?
Just one thing. We have been working with Florida Power to change out and have decorative lights in Veterans Park. If you notice in the middle of the park, there's some Florida Power lights that are there. We don't have a time frame yet when they're going to do it, but it'll be fairly shortly. I would like to take the light down that's just to the north of City Hall. The light shines all the time. I've had the police chief look at it from a safety perspective, because the only thing I can think that it does is provide some light for people coming in and out of City Hall. But we also have decorative lights that do the same thing. They provide light. We have 3 of them outside City Hall, really on the east and west side. So I wanted to let the commission know that unless I hear an objection tonight, I will instruct our facilities to take that light down. It's shining all the time. It's wasting energy, and I think it's an eyesore. So it detracts from what I think the commission has wanted to do, and that's the visual aesthetics of Veterans Park. So I wanted to let you know my thoughts and what I was planning on doing.
All right, do we have a consensus?
I'm good.
Yes. Is that the one you're talking about right here?
Pretty close to it. Either there or there.
There on the inside corner in the trees.
Right across from the door.
Right.
Yeah, the light that's on 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Right across from the door.
Any other thoughts? We have a consensus.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. What else you got?
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, applicants for par board. I have the scoring sheet. I'll announce this in alphabetical order by last name. Paul Chestnut, Joseph Pizzuli, and Lisa Smith are the new par board members. So congratulations, and to your highest paying gig you've ever done.
Penny?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garrett mentioned that he had been on the Daytona Beach Fire Union Board. That was what he wrote as his qualifications.
Yes, ma'am.
The Fire Pension Board is going to need 2 city appointments.
Correct.
Like
That's
to be
going to be
one of
on
them.
your May 25th agenda for
Okay.
police and fire pension, and I understand Robbie's not interested in
Robbie is
being
not
reappointed.
doing it. So I was thinking maybe Mr. Garrett might be.
Charlie Frill's not doing it?
No, we told him he couldn't quit, but he didn't listen to it. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll reach out to him and see if he's interested. Are those meetings still quarterly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just a thought, when I saw the fire thing, I thought maybe he might be interested. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll move on to commission comments.
Nothing from Penny?
Oh, Penny. We need to add your name on here.
That's okay. I just, again, to publicly thank Janelle for filling in for me while I was out. I don't worry at all when I'm gone with her here, so that's excellent.
She does a good job.
Benefit, yeah.
Yep.
Jinx.
You trained her well.
All right, Mayor.
I only have a few things. One, the tax collector reached out to me to let me know that tomorrow at the Flagler Beach office, they will be giving away bike helmets. So if you know anyone that needs bike helmets, they fit them, you're fitted properly, and you can pick one up there.
You talk to her from time to time?
Every quarterly. Quarterly meeting. I'd like to give a thank you to previous Mayor Linda and Chair Cooley for the beach cleanup this Saturday. It was a very windy turnout, but we still had people there. I attended the mayor's meeting on last Wednesday, Strategic Planning Day. And Palm Coast and Bunnell stressed the amount of growth and development that was going to be happening. And
It's scary.
It's very scary. Definitely Palm Coast, they're looking at doubling, so we've got to.
Just that one on the west side of Route 1 that's going to be 65.
Hold on to your bootstraps.
Those residents all need beach access. They got to be able to get to the beach.
Yes.
You know what we need is a flyover from Route 1 over the whole county.
Well, speaking of flyover, I flew over that area, and
Yeah.
they got a lot of it cleared already. Yeah.
Bye.
And then I just had one question. I know it's for Mike. Katie was working on the grant for the sand fencing. Has she received any approval where we're at on that? I know it was a grant, we weren't getting approved for the grant, but to see if we were qualifying for the grant. Has that happened yet, or is it going to be later in the month?
It's later in the month.
Okay.
We haven't received it yet.
I'm just going to ask so it doesn't get forgotten about.
Yeah, matter of fact, we evaluated that today, and we're still working with DOT to ensure that we have the material, the fencing, in their budget, which is part of the overall project. So we're staying on top of it.
Perfect. All right, that's it. That was all I had.
Mr. Sherman.
All I have really is just I want to tell Penny and Lee, thanks again for communicating with the residents down there in the 2700 block of South Daytona, I think South Daytona area over there. I did have a question, Mike, or I don't know if anybody on the dais can answer it, but there is one picture that I think everybody's been seeing those emails circulating. The only question I have is about that. There's one picture that kind of, I think the residents are maybe having the heartburn over, it says fill line here. And it's at the top, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's like at the top of the bricks where the stem wall is. And I know Lee and everybody's been stressing to them that all that fill dirt's going to go into the stem wall, not around the property. But I guess that's the only picture I really had a concern with. It's written on one of the bricks. It looks like it might be on the south end of the, due south end of the property there. And there's something like written almost in like a chalk or like a pinkish color. And so I wasn't sure if they're saying fill line here for the concrete where the block is, or is it the fill line for the inside of the stem wall, or is it truly what I truly don't believe is fill dirt to then fill to build the property up? Because I know we've reiterated and we're not doing that, so.
I might be able to shed some light on that. They have, at the top row block.
Yeah.
It's called chair block.
Okay.
So that's an 8-inch block, but it's got an L chopped out of it. So the dirt gets only filled halfway up that last row of block.
Okay.
So then the last 4 inches gets concrete. So they don't, it's probably on there so that they don't fill it all the way to the top, because then they're going to have to take 4 inches off so they have room for the concrete.
Got it.
So the concrete, when it's poured, is flush with the top of the block wall.
Okay.
So that line should be even with the inside of what they call a chair block.
Okay. And I think everybody's also aware, they've all.
I had another thought on that, though. So there seems to be a communication gap with assumptions versus what's actually happening. And, honestly, why are we worried about what's written on a wall, right? Because if they do something and they're in violation, then we go fix that violation. But they haven't done anything wrong. They're in the middle of working. And if they write something random on the wall that might be perceived as something, that's this whole thing is folks are making assumptions, including us, on what it means. But no one knows what it means because nobody's talked to them. And that's really one of the biggest heartburn points out of the entire situation. And that's why I've kind of stayed out of it, because they're just working. And there's no current violations that are there that exist now, I believe. And I think that's a fact. If I'm wrong, correct me. And so that's all I'm worried about. If they have some random thing written on the wall that says, 100 feet, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going and putting fill in 100 feet. It's just so I just had to say it because I think that's what's happening. And there's this big communication gap where we're seeing something that we don't quite understand, but we're not asking the questions to understand it. That's all. I don't
But
know,
we've received those same questions over and over and over again. And Lee has answered them today. Penny answered them. And they're all saying the same thing. The builder knows what he's supposed to be doing. He cannot fill the land higher than it was before. He has to put in this thing in the back, the retention area in the back. And the dirt has to be put somewhere that he's going to put inside the stem wall or is currently putting inside the stem wall. And I don't care, they keep asking the same questions over and over and over again, and they're going to get the same answers because they're the right answers. And
that's it.
That's it.
And the work is in progress, and there's no current violations. And we can assume there might be some later on, but we're not at that movie yet.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I know it's been, I'm sure everybody else's email boxes have been being notified of this, so I just wanted to discuss it up here as a group.
And then, Penny, thank you for what you wrote today. Saved the rest of us from having to write the same thing.
Right. Exactly. And then I guess they also were requesting maybe a meeting with, but I think, again, somebody had addressed there was already that meeting. Right. I think one of the things they were asking about was about the permits, also about one of the homes getting fill in their backyard or something along those lines.
Landscape
fill, yeah.
So they want a meeting over somebody's landscape?
Basically, they want to get get that.
Landscape variance so they can add fill dirt as well.
Nick, you can't do that.
I wrote them back and suggested that they could come and speak under public comment if they have a question.
That's all I have.
You'll learn.
They could go to the building department and find out what the process is of putting fill dirt in their yard, and they'll explain it to them. So, all right, I got a few things here. I'll go as quick as I can. We got our yearly paving done, although it wasn't yearly last year because we didn't do any. But it's done, and just wanted to know, we have plans in the works of striping, putting the stop bars down in the proper places.
The answer is yes, but I don't have, specific dates or times when they're going to go in. Would you like that? Would you like dates?
No, I don't necessarily need dates. I'm just curious whether we're going to just do the ones that just got paved, or we need to get that done citywide again. So it might be better worked out if we did it all at once, you know, with the mobilization fees and stuff like that. So
How much we have in the budget, I don't know. That answer I'd have to get to you. I don't have it.
yeah, I didn't expect you had that right in front of you, but I just wanted to mention it. Our buried seawall is buried again, all the way from 18th out, so that's nice. I went for my helicopter ride with the mosquito control people. Very informative. Learned a lot about what they're looking for when they're up there, and learned a lot about the topography that you don't see driving around in the truck. Went a nice route down over to Bulow Creek and down along John Anderson's the south end and across High Bridge and worked our way up. But it was really, what they're really looking for when they're up there is areas of water that don't have any tidal movement. So in other words, little lakes or puddles that don't have water replacing
Can I add something
stale
to that
water.
real quick? Can I add something? We also learned on that tour that a lot of the stuff they spray is not just chemicals, it's coconut oil, which I thought was very cool. They've
But
barrels
depends
and
whether
barrels
it's
of
larvae
coconut
or
oil.
whether they're
Right.
adult mosquitoes.
So the mosquitoes don't get sunburned?
But it was really informative, and it was you learned more about what's going on too. Like up near Prince's Place somewhere, there's this big pile of sand that it's apparently that they've stockpiled to put out on the beach. So I didn't realize that we had a stockpile, or the county had a stockpile that they were working with, but that was something that you wouldn't have seen from the street. So if you haven't signed up for your mosquito control helicopter ride, you ought to check it out.
What does the coconut oil do?
That, I believe, stops the larvae from swimming. I wrote it down. It was really fascinating. They have
Not sunburn.
Well, they had a neat system where they could actually fly drones out and spread material, but then they got struck down by federal
Privacy issues.
guidelines.
Yeah, privacy.
And so it's parked right now. So there's getting one that meets the standards so they can get it back up in the air. Farmers Market is now using the second pavilion, not just the first pavilion,
Oh,
but
she
two of
got
them.
so mad that we criticized her about the first one. She's now using the second one.
Well, somebody was in the second one
Oh, boy.
on Saturday. So, I don't know. It's something we spoke about before, but it's still ongoing. So what do we do about it? We reached a consensus that we wanted them to stay within the confines of what the commission agreed space
Well,
they could
there's an
use.
actual map for the
Yeah,
layout.
there is, which does not include the pavilions.
Yeah, we kept the pavilions because it's a public asset, and they're available for rent and public use, and but there's an actual, and you all know this, but for city manager, there's a map that has the layout that was approved when this was all back in the beginning agreed on, and they've done a pretty good job following it up until as of late, but
Okay.
unless there's discussion about changing the map.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Before you move on,
Like that out
Commissioner, the chair makes a point that I didn't think of last time we were talking about this. Those pavilions are for rent, right?
Correct.
Do we want to communicate to them, if you want to use the pavilion, you need to rent them like everybody else, instead of saying stay off the pavilions? Say if you want to use them, fine, but you got to pay for them.
They have every right to rent them the same way the public does, but the double edge to that sword is I don't think we would want, correct me, I don't want to speak for you, but we wouldn't want them reserving it all the time for,
That's why it's a question. It might not be how you want to couch that, but it just occurred to me that maybe that's how we couch them is, look, these are there for years. You can rent them the same way as anybody else can, the same process, but you got to pay for it. It's not part of the agreement you have with us.
There's not, per se, a rental fee for those pavilions that can be reserved as a part of a special event, and we would charge for electric if they're using the electric, or reuse, garbage removal if they're having like food out there, things like that, but there's not a fee for each pavilion.
So there's no rental fee. So then the message does need to be, this is not part of the agreement you worked with the city. If you want to change the agreement, you need to come before the commission and ask to change the agreement. Yes, Commission?
Do we have a consensus on that?
Whatever makes it work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say yes. So we have a consensus on that.
Okay, got a call from Edgar today, our lobbyist.
Which ear is bigger than the other one?
Actually, it was a relatively quick conversation, but he did mention that the chatter that he's hearing amongst his peers and people in Tallahassee is that the new search form has a broader reach than the last search. So he's saying more people are getting the word.
City manager search. I wasn't clear what
city manager search, yes.
That's good. Good to
So
hear.
I don't know if any of the others of you got a call from Edgar, but that was some of his news. Of course, we're waiting until close to the end of the month for the governor's signature.
Nope, didn't get anything.
The South Flagler stormwater upgrade hasn't really turned out to be an upgrade. So I know we talked a little bit the other day about trying to make this an actual improvement in the end, although it hasn't been to this point. And that would be hopefully to get the water out of the ditches and into the drains. So if they can work with that elevation and save the people on those several blocks there, the aggravation of having water in their ditch 6 months out of the year. So then we could actually claim that we accomplished something. At this point, I don't believe we can. So you said you were going to follow up on that, but just wanted to bring that up again. And the most common question I get is about walkovers. So can you bring us up to speed on what the latest is on why we don't see any activity on walkovers?
I'm assuming that they are still waiting on drawings. I know that the 3 were permitted. That was the South Second ADA ramp, the South 21st and South 28th Street are the 3 that have been permitted. And I can follow up with them tomorrow. I've been playing catch up, You take a vacation, you get punished when you come back.
Yes, absolutely.
So
would that be something you could bring under the city clerk comments for next meeting?
Yes, sir, and I'll also email you all when I find that out, but yes, you can bring that up to,
Yeah,
I'll have an up-to-date report for the public if that's what you'd like.
That would be good.
Yeah, because that's the question we get asked most.
Honestly, I forgot to even give Katie my weekly update, so I'll hopefully, if she hasn't got it ready to go, I can get her something in the morning to add for that, for the public to be posted.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Penny. That's all I got.
Commissioner Mealy.
I'd like to go last if I could.
Commissioner Spradley.
Ooh.
Thank you. You know that the last Dune holdout signed a settlement agreement with Flagler County about a month ago, which was good. That's still under the rules governing the matters like this in the bankruptcy court where all of this was happening. It required that there be a motion to approve it with all creditors having an opportunity to weigh in and object to it or not. And the time to object ran, and the order approving and it ran and no one objected. And so the order approving it is on the judge's desk, and I expect it to be signed by tomorrow.
Oh, I kept waiting for a but.
No, it'll be signed by tomorrow in all likelihood. And so that'll bring a formal conclusion, and the order says that the county can then record the settlement documents, including the easements, into the public record. So that's the significance of that. It's the formality that we needed. So that's good news. The Johnston fences continue to be constructed up and down the beach. I live down South 23rd, and the DOT version stopped just north of South 23rd and then picked up the other side for some reason of the walkover, but that's now being filled in. And I tend to get pretty uniform positive comments from property owners down that way, most of whom come from the same place as I suppose we all do, which is tired of seeing people go down onto the beach, with our newly bare dunes. So they seem to be happy with that. May 1st, there were 2 flood outreach meetings here presented by Quality Engineering and Surveying, talking about elevating houses on the one hand, or if they didn't meet a certain value objective, then there would be funding to demolish them and some money to help you begin rebuilding. Both of those outreach meetings were well attended. Commissioner Mealy and I, and Commissioner Billhumer was also there. They were to standing room only capacity, and a lot of good information came down. In fact, the engineering firm I thought they were fabulous communicators.
They were outstanding.
They knew what they were doing. There were some tough questions, but these guys knew what they were doing, and I thought gave really solid answers, lots of information. They handed out information.
Yeah, this is good.
They have all kinds of web links that they offered to the residents, and it was, I thought, a very positive meeting. And since then, I have gotten inquiries from residents who heard about it but were not able to attend, and I continue to pass the word. But basically, what we're talking about are either, depending upon the history of your property, how often it has been flooded and how many claims have been made historically, even before you own the property. You could get anywhere from 100% funding to have your house elevated, or if there was a history but not as bad as others, 90% funding, and then for everybody else, 75% funding. If it's determined that your house meets all the criteria they're looking at. Yeah, there are a lot of there's a lot of information. I'm not going to repeat the program. Okay, I'm just telling you it's a good program, and there's ways to get that information. So that was good. I continue to have Saturday meetings where residents are invited to come to my office right next door. They continue to be well attended, and it continues to be the case that stormwater issues and complaints and problems, along with walkover complaints and desire to get those things repaired and constructed, continue to be the top items of discussion. And I do sense some level of relief from residents who at least have someone to talk to and to listen to what they have to say. I think there is that. It's even better if I actually have information to give them back, which happens sometimes. So that part is good. I took last Saturday off from that to go to my daughter's graduation from college in Fort Myers. But I'll resume again this coming Saturday, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Amigo? All right, so we have a couple events coming up. There is a surf contest this weekend on Saturday, the 13th May Day Surf Memorial. And then the following Saturday, there's also a surf contest, which involves dogs. And that is all I got.
Okay, and I was also going to talk about the workshops that Richards did with quality engineering, and they really were very well attended, especially the first one. I'd like to thank Mike and the staff for, while it was a very long meeting last Wednesday, I thought it was extremely valuable, and so thank you for that. Fire Pension Board, Police Pension Board met yesterday. They're both still plugging along, doing pretty well. I was sorry to see that Robbie was going to leave the board, but guess nobody goes on forever. Memorial Day plans are made. Put Monday the 29th at 1 o'clock in your calendar. We have a speaker, thanks to the County Veterans Affairs Director. I don't know what I'd do without him. Excuse me. Pastor Janine is going to, from the United Methodist Church, will do her thing as she always does. And we'll have the, not AMBETS, who were the military groups? I'm losing one. Not DAV.
There's VFW, AMVETS, Knights, Legion.
Well, one of them is doing the color guard.
It's usually Knights of Columbus, isn't it?
I'll tell you in a minute. It's not working for me. What, Penny?
Matanzas High School?
No, we're not using them. No, it's one of the guys out on Old Kings Road.
Well, there's a VAW for the VFW. It's on Old Kings Road.
Wait, well, they're all on Old Kings Road. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, they'll be there.
Holding flags.
Let me just try one. What is that thing? Too many emails. Well, anyway, sorry about that. Okay, the reason I wanted to go last was, Eric, if you ever talk to me again the way you did last week, there will be some kind of, I don't know what the repercussions will be, but no one in my lifetime has ever treated me the way you did at that last meeting. You weren't really nice, and you came into the meeting clearly not wanting to be here. Your goal was to get out as quickly as possible. We had a goal for being here. You kept telling me that everything I said was unimportant. It had nothing to do with it. And whatever you could say, that would get us out of here. And I've heard from people all over the city that how could you have that happen to you? So it's not just in my imagination. Right from the beginning, very first thing that was brought up, you interrupted me right away so that we would move on to something else. You say something to the effect that we're majoring in minors. You spent a lot of time texting. I watched the meeting again. I didn't even notice you were doing that until I watched it on YouTube.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
You aren't paying attention is what it had to do with it. Excuse me, I'm talking to him. Right?
Okay. So she's just going to critique.
You're not here for small talk. I don't think any of us had small talk. You may not have thought what we were saying was important, but we did. You are one of the group. We all get elected the same way. This year you happen to be the chair whose job it is to move things along reasonably, but never to denigrate somebody in any way. The salary discussion seemed to be unimportant to you. You kept rushing, trying to get through it. And I'm sorry I'm reading here because I don't want to leave anything out. You have no idea. I did not sleep for 2 days after that. And that is not something that is acceptable to me. You said something was government 101 and it was a shame that you had to explain it.
That'd be salary range.
And you said to Rick that this isn't a social hour, I'm not going to listen. You have no right to cut any of us off just because, I don't know where you thought you had to be that could have been so important. We all have other issues in our lives. When we're told that we have to accomplish something at a meeting, that's what we come here for. It kind of started during Wednesday's meeting. I know it was a very long meeting, but again, I started to listen to that meeting because I kind of thought that you talked a lot longer than anybody else. So I timed out the police department. I talked for 1 minute and 38 seconds. Susie talked for 95 seconds. James talked for 3 minutes. Well, it went to 3 minutes and 72, you know, on the timer on the thing. Nobody went longer than 3.5 minutes. You went over 8. Fire department, we were all less than 1. You were 3. And it goes on from there. So obviously you think that whatever you have to say is more important than the rest of us.
Jane, if you're going to have an opinion, don't state my feelings that you're assuming is fact. Okay. You state your complaints,
okay,
but don't make stuff up.
I didn't
That's
make
where
anything up. This
you
is
just
all
said,
from the
I think
meetings.
my thoughts are more important than other people. Leave that nonsense on the side. Just state your concerns.
What you presented at both of those meetings last week was, we need to talk less so you can talk more. That is a fact, timing-wise. I'm done. I just want you to know that you did not make a lot of friends over the way you acted, especially on Thursday. And I won't put up with it. No one in my life has ever spoken to me that way. Done.
Okay, thank you. So there's an awful lot to respond to. So the first thing is Thursday. I was in rare form. I was spitting fire. But, however, number one, I don't respond to your threats. I'm not even going to hear it or entertain it. And I think it's completely unprofessional, out of line for you to even do that, and meaningless. Second of all,
I guess I didn't get my message.
No, don't interrupt me. I listen to you, so don't do it. As painful as it was. Secondly, I am thoroughly and completely uninterested in your armchair quarterbacking of the job I'm doing. So much so that you're timing how much I talk. If there was an issue on Wednesday, I would expect you to behave like a normal adult and say, hey, I feel like I'm not getting my fair shake, and I would like to be able to talk more. I think you, whatever. It didn't get addressed. You're complaining about it after the fact. That's not how adults behave, so I'm not even interested in it. Thursday. Me conducting business texting because I'm in the middle of my workday is frankly none of your business. Just point blank. And for all your assumptions that you had about how I'm not engaged, I didn't care about this, I didn't care about that. Well, I didn't care about the salary range because I agreed with it. I don't need to do a dissertation if it's something I agree on, nor do I even have to explain it to you. The fact that I had to explain salary range I found to be unnerving to begin with, how a salary range even works. Now, I think what set you off is my delivery on Thursday, because I was in rare form and I was spitting fire. And I'll be the first person to admit it. So to those of you that were at the meeting, that's not the usual Eric. I think you all know that. That was a rough day. I also feel that you have absolute zero respect for anybody's time except your own. And it shows in meetings time and time again. These are business meetings. We're supposed to be all making a group effort to get through the material as quick as possible. And that played into that. But I was in rare form anyway, so that part I want to 100% own. However, your threats and your critiques about the job I do and all of the armchair quarterbacking that you are notorious for, you've tried this with Rick in years past. You've tried this with the mayor in years past to tell us what to do and how you think we should do it. And frankly, I'm just not concerned about that. If there's a procedural thing that is getting missed or you are not being heard in a correct way, then I absolutely want to make sure that you do get heard, because I have a lot of respect for you and I believe you do a really good job as a commissioner. To make a statement where things really went off the track is when there was a discussion opened up about assumed consensus on the largest upcoming budget item that we're going to be facing. And I found that to be just reprehensible to even be talked about in that meeting. That wasn't the place for it. And while you might be perfectly fine with having a consensus on massive budget increases without even knowing what they're going to cost, I am not. And with almost half the commission missing, to try to say that we had a consensus on something which we clearly did not, that was where I kind of drew the line. But I agree with you on some points. And I don't think that'll be much of an issue. But as far as like some of the other stuff, that part I'm not interested in. And we can agree on some things, and
If
we
we
can
have
disagree on some
policy
others.
issues, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, a lot of the things we're disagreeing on are subjective, and I think it's stuff that'll just solve itself moving forward.
We'll see.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Commissioners, did you have any thoughts that you want to share?
I was going to say I thought Wednesday's meeting ran very nice and fluid. We stayed on track. I did the math earlier in the day, and I was a big concern that if we went 5 minutes over on each topic, it was going to be an additional 2 hours. So I really enjoyed the format going into the meeting. We knew it was going to be a very long day. We had packed it, and I enjoyed the format and the business aspect of it.
Well, and that was the stressful part, is that was a concern in the beginning of the meeting, is we immediately started going over by 2, 3, 5 minutes on each one, and it's with how late it had to go on the day. We saved a lot of time, fortunately, but we didn't know that until the end of the day. But that was what created the really short format. Plus, we had very long presentations, too, which took all the time.
I'd also like to add one thing for Thursday's meeting. I watched the meeting. I wasn't able to attend. I had a previous appointment. We are hiring, I want to point out, we have hired a company at an exorbitant amount of money of $30,000. They are the experts in the field. I have been an executive recruiter. That's what I was in my previous job. Let's also remember we have potential city managers that are watching, that when we're micromanaging, I'm going to use that word, a executive search firm on what they are the subject matter of, it's going to reflect on our city and how we act as a commission. And we need to keep that in mind. We need to let the subject matters do what they are best at. And I'll leave it at that.
Good point.
Commissioners? Anything else? We have
Motion
one
to
more
adjourn.
public comment period.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's right.
One more public comment period. Any members of the public wish to speak on anything under public comment? Nothing? All right, we'll close public comment and look for motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.
You don't have to tell me right now, Mike, but if you want to sit in or something, or you tell me right now, I'll work on, I'll leave it on the market.
Yes, sir. Go away.